Hello and welcome to Here's a Rock, Ain't It Nice? Oh yes, can you tell I have been to a beach and gotten all collecty? One of the things England has a lot of is pebble beaches, and on a recent visit to the Isle of Sheppey, I found one simply heaving with shells and stuff. It was painful on the feet, but happy on the shell treasure. I went a-wandering and swept up a handful of stones and shells which caught my eye. They may be nothing special in terms of unusualness, but each one pulled me in for some reason, whether it was the mingled colours or clustered textures. In picking them up, I thought it would be fun to try and draw or paint them in various ways. So for today's video, I figured we could do some speed sketching together if you're up for it. I'm thinking we'll try a 1-minute sketch first, just to freak ourselves out and shake off the cobwebs. Then a 2-minute and then a 3-minute. For each one, I'll choose a shell or stone and pop a photo of it on the screen so you can draw with me. I'll also pop a timer on screen too. But if you don't fancy shells but still want to join in, do feel free to sketch whatever you like. Lastly, we'll end with this beastie of a shell, and we'll have 10 minutes to wrangle with its intricacies. I'm a little bit fascinated by all these layers. Don't you just love it? It's flippin' huge! When I saw it emerging in the sand, I was instantly hooked. Okay, I'm going to use marker pens, so I will grab them. You grab your materials of choice, and I will meet you back here in seconds. Okay, we're starting with this shell, and get ready to sketch in 3, 2, 1, go! I've chosen green for this one, thoroughly inconsistent with the shell itself, but sometimes I think it's useful to go with whatever your fingers reach for first. Now, this shell has plenty of texture, but as we only have mere seconds to try and capture its essence, I'm focusing on the basic shape and wiggly outlines. If you are playing with a medium like pastels or charcoal though, I think it would be really fun to focus on the contrasting dark and light tones instead, just rubbing in dark patches wherever you can see them and not worrying too much about whether they're in the right places. Remember, this speedy 1-minute sketch is a warm-up. It is officially not serious, so try to keep your thoughts breezy and your hands moving. Look at the shell as much as you can. So much of drawing is in the looking. And if not much ends up on your page, that's okay. As the timer comes to an end, take a breath, but do not settle. Our next speed sketch is seconds away. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Let's sketch! Our next subject is this conical-shaped shell. I'm using a yellow marker for this one, and I love the flowy shapes we can draw. Now, 2 minutes isn't much, but we've seen how much we can do in 60 seconds, so we know there are more possibilities than we might think. It's still too short a time to be thinking about details though, but our basic shapes can now become more joined up. We can take a smidge of extra time to notice light and dark values and make our lines more deliberate. In looking at my hand drawing this now, I can see I got those proportions a bit squiffoo. The top 2 sections should be much smaller, but oh well, in these 2 minutes I think I'm getting distracted by the lovely lines on the shell and just wanting to draw those. Halfway through our sketch, just 1 minute left. So what are you thinking to add before the time runs out? I'm aiming for getting a simple sense of form by deepening some lines on the sides. summer is just coming to an end, so add any last minute touches and give your second sketch a little thank you for being whatever it has turned out to be. Ready for number 3? Here we go for 3 minutes in 3, 2, 1, sketch. I'm giving you a choice this time with 3 pebble subjects instead of just one. Feel free to draw whichever one most interests you, or maybe draw all 3. I'm focusing on the topmost pebble because I really like the rainbow lines it has running over that flat edge. Now, pebbles are something I'd probably usually sketch with pencils just because they somehow feel a bit more subtle. I think because they are such simple shapes, they can be a bit difficult to bring to life if you only focus on the shape. These thrive on the sense of form that you can create and the details of the textures. However, I'm sticking with markers because that was my decision at the start, and I want this set of sketches to have a commonality about them on the page, but also because it's giving my brain a little extra challenge. I feel a bit like I'm just drawing a blob right now. But it's worth trying to figure out how I can turn this blob into a pebble. Can I do it in 3 minutes? Halfway point, mine is looking a bit odd and flat, but that's okay. How is yours doing? I definitely need to add some shadows, or perhaps this will be the sketch where I start adding another colour in. I think I need to break up this red a bit. I have a very dark pink marker that I'm going to use to add a bit of something. I mean, yeah, it will be something. I kind of end up using it in a very wiggly way, and it sort of makes the pebble look a bit fluffy. Like a pebble hedgehog. Just bung a couple of eyes on this beastie and it's a critter. Alrighty, that's the end of our 3 minutes, and what do you have to show for it? I have a ready pebble thingy, which doesn't really look much like a pebble, but I'm not so mad about it. It's still bright and jolly. I like how the colour looks alongside the other 2 speed sketches too. I reckon the yellow 2-minute was actually my favourite, but I think the conical shell helped me out there. Anywho, now that we've fully warmed up, our last task of the day is to complete a 10-minute sketch. Get a fresh sheet of paper and away we'll go. Here comes the biggest shell of all for our 10-minute sketch. 3, 2, 1, sketch. Yep, for 10 minutes I want us to try and sketch this chunky shell beast. Now, how you do that is of course up to your own creative meandering. You can draw the whole thing or do as I'm doing and pick a section to zoom in on. I've taped off a boxed area on my page and am trying to capture the wiggly textural patterns that make up the lower part of the surface. They are so cool to look at. I figure it'll be fun to channel a more abstract feeling here. Using the lines and textures zoomed in means that it won't look like a shell without the context, but it may echo a sea vibe all the same. I think the wavy lines across the square may look a bit like ocean waves. you may know, if you've watched other videos of mine, that yellow is a bit of a staple for me. I return to it often, and today it is calling me again. I'm pulling in analogous orangey yellows too, and essentially just seeing how I want to layer them up. Now, with 10 minutes stretching out before us, which after the others may feel luxurious, it's easier to get distracted mid-sketch. I certainly do at one point, when I realise some of my marker lids have gotten muddled, and then I start sorting them out and forgetting time is ticking away. It was very boring to watch, so I'm cutting that bit out. But if you wonder near the end why I'm pulling off tape and not using every spare second, well, it's because I had lost that time, silly ninny bear that I am. Anywho, if you can keep the focus, the joy in a 10-minuter is that you have time to look a bit deeper. Get your main lines down, spot any shading you may need, but then peer a bit closer to pinpoint any details you might add. Halfway point here, are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Is that all you've done, Gemma?
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, but I think I've just been staring at the shell a lot, and that's a good thing. It's okay to get absorbed in the moment and lose a sense of the time limit. Time sketching is just a tool to have in your artist's kit. Despite its intentional boundaries, it's not something that needs to be rigid. It's a framework, a guideline, a soft play area to bounce around in. But if once inside you want to extend the boundaries, then you totally can. Having a time limit is a way to give yourself permission to create in the first place, because it's a small pocket of time you can more easily commit to. It's a way to know that you can easily stop, regardless of the worth you place on it, discouraging the need for perfection. And it's a pressure cooker for sparking ideas, because when you're forced to work quicker, you focus on the most important bits and can often surprise yourself with what you can achieve. If you get to the end of this 10 minutes and want to carry on drawing, then let your creativity expand. If you've already abandoned the shell and started drawing something else, that's joyful too. Timers don't tell you when to stop and start, they just give you permission to do so when you need that support. think this is the bit where I start freaking out about the fact that I only have 2 minutes left, so I start just whacking on the bottom colour in a rather haphazard way. However, editing Gemma is here to say, it's okay, there's no rush. In some ways, moments like this can be helpful because they can push you to commit to putting something on the page without overthinking it. But it's also good to remember that sketches like this aren't aiming for being finished. All of these speed sketches are moments to play inside the process. If you end up with something finished by fluke, then take the win, but having something unfinished is also a useful kind of conclusion. As you watch me scribbling away, feel free to either join in with abandon for a final flourish or take a nice breath and keep your own steady pace. This final minute, as the seconds count down, find any last marks you want to add in. Remember that this sketch both matters a lot and doesn't matter at all. It matters because it represents a pocket of your creativity, you allowed it out to frolic about, and you made something regardless of whether you expected to. It doesn't matter at all because it's just one drawing. It doesn't have to mean anything if you don't want it to. I like how mine came out. I definitely rushed a bit at one point. I like the feeling of it though, and the general abstract aesthetic. I think I'd like to try this drawing again in future, taking my time, perhaps with oil pastels. Oh yes, I'm getting a visual sparking. If you sketched along with me today, let me know in the comments how you got on. Did you draw the photos on screen, or did you do your own thing, sketching something else entirely? Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider tapping the like button as it really supports my channel. And if you'd like to meet up again in future, the subscribe button is your RSVP. Stay curious, keep making happy, and I will see you next time.